Hey, this is Omri Katz from Hocus Pocus in Erie, Indiana, and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 348, where tonight we are going to be talking about 2024's, say it once, Beetlejuice. Let's say it again, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice from this year. Will there be a third one? I think there has to be, right? Based on that title. I am here, of course, as always, with Steve and Todd. Steve, I believe we have an interview this week.
We do have an interview. So our event, it's just a bunch of Halloween, is coming up very soon. So in honor of that, we're interviewing our new guests, the ones that we have never met yet, and that is Larry Bagby and Tobias Jelinek, who play the bullies, Jay and Ice from Hocus Pocus. Really excited to talk about them and finally getting to meet them in person at our event. And you can as well, Joe. How can they meet the two bullies from Hocus Pocus and Omri Katz, Jason Marsden, and the always amazing Vanessa Shaw?
Yes, that is right. It is quickly approaching, ladies and gentlemen. We're just 3-4 weeks away. It is coming up so fast. Just head to itsjustabunchahalloween.com for any and all details. Once again, October 11th through the 13th in Salem, Massachusetts. A whole amazing weekend of events. We're going to be involved in all of it. So if you want to come hang out with us, the squad, as well as the whole cast of Hocus Pocus, please do. It is going to be awesome. We also, for you Horror Squad fans, are going to have some stuff related to the final episode, which, Todd, speaking of the final episode, we have launched, ladies and gentlemen, our Indiegogo. It launched last Friday. We gave, of course, the Discord. If you haven't already, join the Discord. First dibs on all the perks, but it has made it out there. Very exciting. And I believe we also have a podcast shout out to give for one of our people who donated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thanks to you guys, in 2 days, we went up to 50% funded already out of our goal. So that's, it's mind blowing. Thank you so much for your help. Go in there, get some cool freaking perks, or, just spread the word. That helps too. One of the perks on there is a podcast shout out, which I want to see Joe's reaction to this because the gentleman said that you would know what I'm talking about here. So, with the power invested in me, I bestow upon this gentleman's fantasy football team all the good fortune and luck to come to him. The team name being the Dirtiest. Shouting out to Mr. Bill McCarthy. Thank you, Bill. I hope your fantasy team beats the shit out of Joe, which I'm assuming you guys are in the same league. So, what's the Dirtiest, Joe? Give us the scoop.
Indeed, we are. Yes, the Dirtiest is a Ric Flair tribute, as one of the dirtiest of all time, of course. But yeah, Bill, good friend of mine. Thank you so much, Bill, for donating to the cause. And I'll see you at the premiere.
Very cool. Yeah, so if get on the Indiegogo, we have plenty of stuff. A couple things are sold out though. We sold out pretty quickly on the Be in the Movie perk, where we're gonna put your voice, your picture, maybe a quick scene. We're not sure yet. We'll figure it out, but that sold out pretty quickly. We got signed DVDs, posters. We got cool ass props that are gonna be screen used. We got scripts. We got wardrobe that's in there. So come on over. We're halfway there, and we just need your help. Thank you.
Halfway there, living on a prayer. That's right. You Bon Jovi fans out there who just saved a person from jumping off a bridge recently.
Oh,
So
really?
shout out John Bon Jovi. Yeah.
Get him on.
Guys,
Let's get him on.
Guys fucking doing everything these days. Also big Patriots fan, so shout out Bon Jovi.
Nice.
But anyway, Todd, you also attended a horror convention this weekend.
I did. I went with the homies, TJ and Brent, and huge shout out to Horror Hound Weekend, which gave us press passes for the podcast, for the Horror Squad podcast. And yeah, this is some of the most fun I've had in a couple months. I really needed, to get out of the house and go hang out with the homies and just talk about horror, live horror, be around horror fans and all that stuff. Went Friday night and Saturday. We got the early access due to the press passes, which was really dope. And then meeting up two people, met Peter Cowper, who plays the miner in My Bloody Valentine, and Eric Freeman, of course, who plays Ricky Garbage Day from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Both dudes were freaking really legit, man. Took the time to talk to us. They told us a bunch of, filming stories from, Peter Cowper almost getting his throat slit during a scene because they were using a real shovel, and the actor kind of undercutted, gave him an uppercut underneath, and it cut the line and almost got to his throat. And to Eric Freeman just being a really approachable dude. It's always fun when you get to interact with somebody and they give you like a lifelong thing to remember. And I walked up to him and he just like froze. I thought like I was offending him or something. He's like, "Man, you got some wide shoulders on you. Get over here." I'm like, I'm like, "Look at you, dude. You're in the gym with your biceps." And he just started laughing. So super cool guy. They both signed my NECA figures, and they just pop with like the pink and red lettering. We also got to go into the short film festival and with the filmmakers there doing a Q&A, which is really cool. One that stuck out was The Spider, from a filmmaker from LA, which I got to talk to afterwards, and super cool guy. And it had Chandler Riggs in there that played Carl from Walking Dead, and it is basically evil Spider-Man, right? And he said it was kind of like fan use or whatever, so you can't really go deeper into it without getting in trouble by Disney. But essentially, Chandler Riggs gets bitten by a spider, and then it starts mutating him into like a creature instead of a hero. And like his sticky powers, he accidentally degloves someone's hand that touches him. He kills Uncle Ben instead of like a criminal getting him. So it's really fucking cool. Like I said, had a blast hanging out with my buddies. The con was really cool. The volunteers were awesome. You just go up to them like, "Hey, where do I get in line for the press pass?" And they usher you to where you need to go. So Horehound weekend, always a blast. And looking forward to Lexington Scarefest next month. So, and then plus Salem with you guys. So it's gonna be jam packed.
Hell yes. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Horror Hound's definitely on my list. I need to get out to a Horror Hound one of these times. Maybe March. We'll see.
That's the biggest one, March. Yep.
Yeah. All right, awesome. All righty, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for all that and all the updates. So now, I think, Steve, it is time to spill a little tea.
Yes, let's spill the tea.
Oh, you want the tea? I'm sorry. We don't serve tea. Nope. Instead, you get a cup of Joe. And now here's Joe with the news.
All righty. Thank you so much, Chuck. And here we go. Your cup of Joe for the week. Let's start off with a little movie trailer as Salem's Lot, the highly anticipated. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Haven't really heard too many people talking about it, but yeah, the movie, it seemed to be sort of in a weird, like, middle place for a while where we didn't know if it was going to get released, if it wasn't going to get released, but finally it is going to be hitting on HBO Max or I think it's just called Max now. These streaming services always changing their names. Anyway, October 3rd, 2024. It is coming very, very soon. I asked you guys to watch the trailer. Did you? All right.
I
awesome.
did. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts.
I really like the main actor from previous movies I've seen him in. From what's the Strangers Part 2. He's the younger gentleman that fights in the pool with the man in the mask. So I really like that actor. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm very familiar with where this movie has been going lately. Like it was going to be a theater release, then it was going to be a like a VOD release, then it wasn't going to get released. It's like a whole thing, right? So I'm a little concerned about it, like going into it, because well, why didn't they want to release it? Is it bad? Is it whatever? But I will say the trailer looks pretty good. We reviewed the original adaptation of this film on the podcast, and it was kind of a slow mess. And this one looks like there's a lot more going on. It's got some pretty cool scenes from what it looks. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. I think the trailer did a good job of reinvigorating my excitement for this one.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think it does look. I'm glad it didn't go to theaters because I feel like it doesn't it has a bit of like not polished look to it in some like aspects from what I saw. But overall, like I wasn't like a massive fan of the original Salem's Lot when we reviewed it. I don't have the nostalgia for it that a lot of people have. So I thought it was just sort of overlong and just boring at parts, but like Barlow is fucking awesome. Obviously, he's just a great sort of maybe underrated horror character in a lot of ways. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see like what they do with the character, what this brings. So yeah, I think there's definitely potential there for sure, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, anything released in October and spooky season is always a treat. Any sort of horror movie. So yeah, I'm excited for it, and probably not something we'll do a full review on, just based on fucking time and scheduling. But definitely something I'm sure we'll talk about on What Watch, because I'm sure we'll all gonna be watching it at some point. So you'll hear our thoughts at some point. Alrighty, let's get into the next story. The Burbs. Are you guys fans?
I still don't think I've seen it.
Okay.
I was disappointed. Honestly, I don't think it
Okay.
was that good.
All right. Well, you'll have a chance to watch a new
This better not
iteration
be a fucking TV show. I swear to
of
Christ,
The
Joe.
Burbs, because we are getting a Burbs TV series,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, starring Kiki Palmer from Nope fame. You guys will know her best from Nope. She will be starring in this new TV series that will be premiering over on Peacock. Variety reported on this. It has been ordered straight to series by Peacock. Celeste Huey will be adapting the series for television. She most recently did Palm Royale. I don't know if any of you saw that, starring Kristen Wiig and Ricky Martin of all people. Actually, I watched a couple episodes of it. She
living la
also
vida loca.
she also did a series called Dead to Me and also High Fidelity. High Fidelity. The series will film on the Universal Studios backlot, just like the movie did. And here is the show's official synopsis. Set in present-day suburbia, The Burbs follows a young couple returning to the husband's childhood home. Seth MacFarlane will also be executive producing this project as well. And Kiki Palmer will, as well as starring, will also be executive producing this. No word on what Joe Dante's role will be in this, if anything. I'm assuming he'll have some sort of producer credit or anything like that. But yep, another horror spooky themed TV series is coming. I know you guys hated it, but hey, the more spooky media we can get, I think the better. So
Who do we
we'll
have to
see.
talk to in Hollywood to fucking stop this and make goddamn movies? Like, I just want to see fucking movies. I don't need every single horror property to have a TV show, because even the most arduous horror fan will not be watching all these TV shows. There's too many of them. It's just like these stupid games with the 4v1 shit that they've been doing for every single horror franchise. There's just no room for them all. Pick the best ones, do those, but please make movies again. This is getting ridiculous.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks.
Joe's good. Joe's just
Yeah.
like fucking lining up another one.
We'll see what news in a couple weeks brings, but I'm sure it'll be another horror TV property for Steve and Todd to rant about. So we'll keep you updated. All right. Terrifier fans, rejoice. Or maybe not. We'll see. There was a little bit of contention on our Discord about this.
Don't
but
you dare. Don't you dare.
The
TV show?
no
Yeah,
TV,
okay.
no Terrifier 3 TV show. But Terrifier 3 will be getting an official popcorn bucket to coincide with the movie. Now, there's a little bit of disappointment here, I think, because you won't be able to go into the movie theaters, I don't believe, and buy this popcorn bucket, but you can pre-order your popcorn bucket starting as of this recording. I believe it's actually dropping the Wednesday prior to this recording, so just a couple of days prior. So head over to AMC's, or I believe it's Regal Cinemas. I'm sorry, Cinemark. So AMC and Cinemark are both going to be releasing this Terrifier popcorn bucket. Pre-orders started on September 18th, so just a couple of days ago. It is a Art's head as Santa Claus. Now, a lot of people didn't like the design of this bucket because they felt it to be a little, I don't know,
Generic.
blob-like generic. But I am going to come a bit to its defense because the fact that a popcorn bucket is even coming out for essentially like a really sort of, I know it's becoming more mainstream, but this movie is still very like independent. And the fact that, the fan base alone essentially like willed this popcorn bucket into existence by like creating this massive petition that spread like all over online. The fact that like a major theater company like AMC and Cinemark kind of perked up and was like, we can make some money off this. I think pretty damn impressive. And I think solidifies that art really has become the new horror icon.
I'm gonna buy it. Absolutely, 100% pre-ordering that. One, because I don't have any art shit, and two, I can resell this shit in 2 years for a lot more than what's gonna go for. That being said, I am happy that it's going online because although I just said I'll probably resell this in a couple years, I absolutely cannot stand when people go into the store and just buy every single thing
Yeah.
possible with the intent to just make money off it. I went to Cinemark the other day and I showed these guys, but I had no idea that there's gonna be a Chucky and a Pennywise the Clown from 2017 popcorn bucket out, but I saw them and I grabbed them, but like they were gone. Like, and these are on my shelf. Like, stop buying 100 things just to sell it. It's fucking annoying as hell. But yeah, I'm gonna buy it for sure.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that was disappointed a little bit. Now I think, the rise of Terrifier is gonna have to have its own movie one day because it's super fucking impressive how it went from this really low budget indie to a mainstream like iconic, series. So that I'm super happy for them with this. I just feel like, and I made the same joke in Discord, just why you should join Discord. If fucking Disney is putting out a more risque popcorn bucket than Terrifier, you got to go back to the drawing board. It needed to be something special that people are like basically horrified of, and just to like really show like this is the art, generation, and
Sure.
it's kind of boring. Like it's just art's face with a little bit of blood and a Christmas hat. I don't know. I was personally disappointed, and it's flat in the back. It's not
Yeah.
even like a full bucket. It's just like got this little fucking flap so you can have 3 popcorns in it.
Oh, it's not a full bucket.
No,
It's flat in the back, yeah, which is a little
interesting.
disappointing. I
so
agree.
I don't know. Like I think they really should have done something crazy and a full bucket. So that's but it's still cool.
I mean, it's a solid point because especially like this is going to be on pre-order. So obviously this thing, it hasn't gone into production yet. So they probably could have done something a little cooler and at least like be a full head like the Ghostface popcorn bucket and the Chucky popcorn buckets were. I do tend to agree with you on that, but yeah, so cool. We're still getting a art popcorn bucket, which is something I never thought we would see. And perhaps Terrifier 4, if it gets made, which I'm sure it will, we'll get something even cooler. So
you getting one, Joe?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I already have it in my calendar.
Me too. I just put it in there when you're talking.
Set up, yeah. So yeah. Like I said, Wednesday, September 18th. It'll already be out as of this recording, folks. So head over to AMC or Cinemark's website and pre-order your Terrifier popcorn bucket. Because honestly, like the more, we can support a movie like this, like it's just so great. Obviously for horror in general. Alrighty. Next bit of news. Congratulations to Alien Romulus. It has just become the highest grossing horror movie of the year. So that's big time for them. Congratulations. They have just hit an impressive $285 million worldwide, which surpasses A Quiet Place Day One's $261 million take. So yeah, pretty impressive. Alien Romulus, your biggest horror movie of the year. Will it get surpassed?
Terrifier? Maybe?
I doubt it.
I don't know, man. Like
280 million? You think the power of Terrifier is that big?
I don't know, man. Like if it's good, I think it could surprise people again.
Maybe.
Alien has the name recognition and the international
For
sales
sure,
probably.
yeah.
But if any movie, I think this year they could do it, it would be Terrifier 3.
I think Terrifier has a really good chance of being maybe like one of the best like independent openings like ever, for sure. I don't know if it will reach the masses like an Alien does yet. I think maybe in time, but I mean it's pretty cool. This is, I think, the first time in probably our lifetimes we're witnessing like a horror icon being birthed. I mean, I guess Ghostface, but it's a little different with Ghostface because it's always someone different, under that mask. Whereas art is art, and I mean, this is the first time since the '80s where this is like the Freddy's and the Jasons. I mean, it's really cool to see it. Alrighty, just a couple more stories to get through here. Oh, I put this on here because Beetlejuice. We're doing Beetlejuice, and for fans of the animated series, all 4 seasons of the Beetlejuice animated series is now available on Tubi. I remember watching that religiously as a child. I have not watched it since then. I don't know if it holds up or not, but I remember the toy line being fucking awesome because I had like all the toys and stuff growing up. Do you guys like have any memory of the show, or have you watched it recently?
I did watch it as a kid as well. I even got an animated like cell from Bandbox or
Cool.
something. Like one of the boxes had like one of those like sheets like hand drawn from that show. So yeah, it's I'm really happy that Tubi got that. I mean, one of the 8,000 reasons why Tubi is the best. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that they're re-releasing it because it was good. It was a fun show.
Todd, any memories of it?
No, but I was wondering why Tubi was like pimping it so hard to me the last few days. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's available.
Nice. All right, just 2 more stories. I put this one in because Steve, I think, mentioned this in the Discord a few days ago, and we got a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Well, Piglet is now getting his very own horror movie as well. It is going to be part of the, of course, infamous now Pooniverse, the horror universe that we're getting. We got actually, and I gotta say, I saw the trailer for the Peter Pan horror movie coming out as part of this Pooniverse. It looks pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a really cool idea, and that's the first one that I've seen that like perked me up and was like, I'm actually want to watch that because it looks pretty cool. But Piglet, which I had not heard prior announced. I know we were getting the, of course, Pinocchio horror movie and the Peter Pan one, but Piglet and Bambi, but Piglet had not been announced yet as part of this Pooniverse. So the Pooniverse thing just cracks me up every time I hear it. But Piglet is getting his very own horror movie now as well. I only bring this up because like, have we just gotten ridiculous now with this whole Pooniverse thing? Mickey Mouse now is getting his own horror movie. Do you think it's getting to be a bit too much, or are you guys like on board for this Pooniverse scenario here?
I saw the Mickey Mouse trailer at Horror Hound, and it looked like all the other ones were getting poo and all that stuff. I don't know, man. Can we make one good movie before we're committed to making 17 more? Like,
Right.
Pooh wasn't good, Beginning was awesome, we all agreed, but then after that, it's fucking terrible. So instead of announcing every fucking single movie out there, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I don't know. Focus on one and go from there.
All I'm gonna say is, man, hold on to your butts because the public domain names are gonna get like pretty crazy in the next few years. I mean, we're talking Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the proper Mickey Mouse. So this is just Steamboat Willie right now. At some point soon, Mickey Mouse, like the actual Disney Mickey Mouse, is gonna be public. You're gonna see all sorts of shit. I'm fucking sure of it. So yeah, this is just the beginning.
Well, Todd, check out the Peter Pan one at least because it actually does look kind of cool. It's like a really cool idea. It's like he is like mentally like unstable, like sort of is kind of how they're going with it, and like he's like it kind of looks like a really creepy, like almost like long leg serial killer type like scenario. It looks really really cool. All right, and then my final bit of news here tonight is it has been announced that the late great Shelley Duvall's final movie, which Steve and I actually watched a rough cut of it originally, The Forest Hills, will be getting finally a release. It is going to be hitting select theaters on October 4th with the Blu-ray lined up shortly after. You can pre-order the Blu-ray if you would like. It's already up for pre-order on the Forest Hills website. But yeah, this is Shelley Duvall's final acting role, which makes it, special. I'm excited to see it. Steve, I did not watch the trailer. You said they did change it up. Steve actually did an interview with the director of this, who kind of, talked about the problems they had with, the filming of this. It was a really good interview. I don't remember the episode number offhand, but check it out. Just head back and check it out because it was a really good interview. But yeah, so go and check it out. The Forest Hills. It is a werewolf-based movie. The cut Steve and I saw apparently is going to be very different than the final product. So yeah, check it out. And that's all I got this week for horror news. And I think that's it for you, Todd, unless you want to stick around for the Beetlejuice review.
No, I don't want to spoil it.
All
Yeah,
right.
unfortunately, everybody, I wasn't able to see Beetlejuice. So my family wanted to see it, and we couldn't link up. So we're gonna see it this weekend. So I'll talk about it on a what watched. But Joe and Steve, enjoy. Bye.
Alrighty, folks. Well, let's get into it. Our main event of the evening, 2024's Beetlejuice, starring Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Jenna Ortega, Justin Theroux, Willem Dafoe, Monica Bellucci, and of course, starring Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. Directed by Tim Burton. Plot: after a family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her teenage daughter Astrid accidentally opens the portal to the afterlife. Pretty solid plot synopsis there. And I always say it, Todd, he does the best at these plot synopsises. However, he left us. So, Steve, you got to, it's a little bit of pressure on you, but let's see how you could do for synopsizing Beetlejuice for us.
You guys are really getting a dumpster fire of a fucking synopsis this week. Not only is it not Todd, but I'm sick, so I'm doing it. So just bear with me here. So Beetlejuice is basically the story. Starts off, years later. The family has gotten older. Lydia is now a TV host, basically in the attic, a set of the attic of the original house where she talks about ghost stories and things like that. But she gets a call from her mother, Delia, that says that her father, Charles, has passed away, and they need to have the funeral at the original house, and make a big to-do of it. So Lydia goes, they go pick up her daughter, which kind of has issues with, Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, and they go to the house and they go through the whole funeral process and things like that as they try to reconnect as a family and try to come together in this sad time in their lives. Well, Astrid is tired of hanging out with her family, so she kind of goes on a bike ride around the town, and she meets a boy there. And the boy, she's into him and stuff like that, and he invites her over for Halloween night, which she does. And he says, "Oh, let's conjure the dead. Let's open a door into the afterlife." And that's kind of where the story takes off, where Beetlejuice is now working in the afterlife with fan favorite Bob. And then the stories kind of cross because Astrid is stuck in the afterlife. So Lydia knows that the only way into the afterlife is to conjure Beetlejuice, and a whole bunch of mayhem ensues. You have Monica Bellucci's character, who's risen from the dead accidentally by Danny DeVito. You have, a lot of storylines. If I listed them all, we'd be here all day. So, Joe, what do you think of Beetlejuice?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's crazy, right, that we even got a Beetlejuice 2, right? I never thought we would see the day, honestly. Like, it's just something that's been toted around for the last 30 years since the
How many
original
fake
movie.
posters of this fucking movie have we seen on Facebook and shit?
So many. And I honestly never thought I would see the day we would get a second Beetlejuice movie. To start, like, I absolutely love the first Beetlejuice movie. It's just a movie that I can always go back to, and it's a movie I've always adored. Like, I got it as a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I just based off pure nostalgia and just how fun that first movie is. It's just a perfect movie for me. So I was so excited to go and see Beetlejuice. But I was like a little hesitant based on some of the trailers I had seen and some of the like promo stuff. I was like, oh man, this has potential to be not very good. But yeah, man, went to the movie, got my popcorn tin of the handbook for the recently deceased, which already put me in a good mood because I was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, like I had also saw it, like didn't see it opening weekend. I didn't end up seeing it until earlier last week. So I had heard like very mixed reactions regarding it. But man, overall, I had so much fun. Like it was just like going to see an old friend again, honestly. I think nostalgia definitely plays a factor in here. I mean, there's definitely issues with the movie, but man, like when the movie hits, it hits so good. I will say, I think it the first I was concerned, like the first like 30 minutes I thought was a little rough for me. And I was like, oh man, I do not think I'm gonna like this movie very well. But then like it just takes off, man. And once it took off, I just had so much fun. And I think Michael Keaton just once again just kills it as Beetlejuice. Like he's just every time he's on screen, he's great. I love the Dietz family storyline. Like seeing like them all back was great. I do think Winona Ryder was a little rough. Unfortunately. Her acting I just did not think was very great, but Catherine O'Hara was great in her role. Jenna Ortega is always great. I am a fan of her and everything. And yeah, man, so the whole Deed stuff is great. Where the movie I think suffers is in all of the amount of storylines, which I'm sure we'll get into, but there's just too much going on at times, and I think a lot of it could have been cut. Like I think you should have just focused on the whole sort of Dietz storyline of like them going into the afterlife, and we would have been perfectly fine without some of these other storylines that get introduced. So overall, though, man, I just had so much fun with this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. So I'm a big fan of Tim Burton's work. I like his aesthetic a lot. Like it just has a really kind of magical feeling to a lot of his movies, and this is no different. This is a very Tim Burton film, like in the way that it's shot, the music. Danny Elfman comes back to do the score in this one. The character design, the world building, everything great. This is honestly the perfect Halloween movie to me. It's just one that I could see myself popping in during Halloween, during a party and stuff like that, because it's colorful. There's really cool characters. It's just, yeah, it's like I really liked the movie. But if you start thinking of the movie and what it's trying to do, it just tries to do way too much. And not only that, there are a few decisions made by Tim Burton in this one that just made me scratch my head. Like, why did you do this? Because it hurts the film, in my opinion. And we'll discuss those. I have a ton of notes. I saw it in theaters. I got to see it early. I was lucky enough to get a media pass for this one. And I actually sat in my car after to take notes because I can't do it in the theater and because there's so much going on in this movie. But my overall feeling of it is I really enjoyed it. But there's definitely a lot of issues that I think hold it down from being, a bigger score, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, let's start off with I guess the like all these sort of storylines. I think Monica Bellucci, like, love her, right? And she's great,
So does Tim Burton.
but and Tim Burton loves her as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But man, like her storyline was just completely useless. Like it just went nowhere. I think it had potential, but they didn't explore it at all, really. They give you that little teeny backstory, but like she is the opening to this movie. Like, so she should be, the main sort of villain character here, but she's just so underexplored, underutilized that it just felt at the end of it, like even when she does come in, like they dispose of her rather quickly, and she just seems unimportant to the plot, like after it's all said and done.
I couldn't agree more. I think the movie should have been basically like her as being the MacGuffin that gets him into the afterlife. I actually would have preferred her story to be featured more heavily because it's an afterlife story, and that's what I wanted to see out of Beetlejuice 2 was more afterlife, which we did get in some regard, but the storyline, one of the many storylines that I personally would have cut, is the boyfriend storyline, which I didn't like at all. I understand that they wanted to make Jenna Ortega's Astrid the main focus of the film, but I just didn't. I wasn't vibing with that storyline at all. He wasn't a good villain. I thought Monica Bellucci was a great villain, and he's just a normal fucking asshole kid. And I don't know, that whole thing kind of really weighed down the movie for me, and is one of the many storylines I think are unnecessary, but that one in particular is the one that I couldn't get with.
Yeah, I mean, as like the narrative, based on how the script went, like obviously that's the way she gets like into the afterlife, so it makes sense to the story. But yeah, I agree. Like, cut him and have Monica Bellucci be the reason, like, or some way for Astrid to get in there. It did lead to some cool scenes though. Like, I liked like when Lydia does go into the house and she finds the parents like dead. It's pretty dark and pretty cool. But yeah, man, I think it was a good twist too. Like, I never expected that kid to be dead. I never saw it coming personally. So like when it did happen, it did kind of like throw me for a loop at first though. I was like, do I like this? I don't know. It was kind of weird, like the way they set up where they're fucking like Caspering, fucking kissing in the air type thing. I was like, what is happening right now? But I was like, I didn't hate it. I was okay with it. Did I love it? No, but I understand it. Kind of, they had to do it to get Astrid into the afterlife some way somehow. So I mean, I was okay with that. I honestly will take that storyline over another storyline, which we'll talk about right now. That was completely fucking unnecessary. And I fucking love Willem Dafoe. He is one of my favorite actors of all time. However, completely and utterly unnecessary for this movie. It was kind of like they were like, "Hey, let's cast Willem Dafoe. Okay, like what are we gonna do with him? Let's write in a whole fucking storyline for him that doesn't add to the narrative whatsoever." I did get some chuckles like out of his character for sure, but it should have been like a one-off scene rather than an entire storyline around him.
I couldn't agree more. That was one of my other notes. He should have been a cameo, like Danny DeVito
Yeah.
was a cameo.
Mhm.
It didn't go anywhere. Like, it didn't go anywhere at all. He shows up at the end. And the end is a whole thing. Like, we're gonna get to it at some point. Because these storylines like converge in a way that just didn't feel natural and just was pointless. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I love Willem Dafoe. I think he's such an amazing actor. It just was not needed in this story. There's like, pick a damn lane, and there's more. We're gonna just, like, battle with fucking different storylines that go nowhere, and I'm gonna bring another one to the table, and this one really fucking confused me, for a lot of reasons, and that is, why is Charles such a big part of this film if they didn't want to bring back Jeffrey Jones? And I would not have fucking brought Jeffrey Jones back either, but he was featured way more into this film than I thought he would be. Why couldn't he just fucking be dead? Why did this whole so first they introduce him claymation style to get around, showing him at all. And I'm like, okay, fine, that's somewhat clever. Like, you don't want to show him. But then they actually show his real face on the tombstone, which you knew from the trailer, but that's still jarring. And then his fucking character comes into play into the storyline where he's wandering around the afterlife without the top of his body because it got eaten by a shark. Why? I totally fucking unnecessary to me. And yeah, I didn't like that at all. I thought they should have just killed him off with a line, almost like they did with the Maitlands. And if they do want to bring him a story, it's really just kind of bring him in a reason for them to come back to the town. But it was too much, I thought.
Yeah, it is really interesting, right? Because like obviously Jeffrey Jones did terrible things. He was basically a pedophile. So I could see why they didn't bring him back, obviously. But yeah, man, it was really bizarre. Like, you're right. Like, the claymation thing, honestly, I didn't love. I mean, it was a clever way, obviously, to kind of show how his character died, but it was kind of weird and kind of felt out of place. But I think it was a clever way to bring that character back in some ways because he got eaten by a shark and like having his body completely like eaten by, so you can never see his face in the afterlife and stuff like that. It was clever. But yeah, it did like it was a big part, a big storyline, and I much would have preferred the Maitlands to come back rather than Charles. Like Charles was not that he was a big character in the first movie, but the Maitlands were way more important. They were the main characters of that first movie, and you can bring them back. Like I know Gina Davis was like, well, dead people don't age and stuff. Well, Beetlejuice aged, like I mean, granted, like he's more makeup caked, but like he still looks different than he did in the first movie. So you could have found a clever way to bring the Maitlands back rather than Charles, which I much would have preferred. I get it though. In some ways, I think Alec Baldwin, it was like when they were filming this, it was like right when that sort of Alec Baldwin Rust thing happened with him. But at least bring Gina Davis back. Like fucking bring her back some way, somehow. I think that would have been way cooler. Once again, it wasn't a storyline I disliked, but was it completely unnecessary to the narrative? Yeah.
It was. And speaking of odd decisions, like the claymation, which I agree was
Mhm.
kind of out of nowhere. This one really I didn't understand, and it fucking dragged, which made it even worse. Why the hell is Beetlejuice backstory in Italian? So you have a black and white backstory to Beetlejuice when he was human, and it also explains the relationship with Monica Bellucci, which we already talked about being kind of pointless to the plot. But the whole thing's in fucking Italian. He tells the story in Italian. Why? Like, no, and we're both people who enjoy international films. But it made no fucking sense for this story. Like, what do you think and it drags. Man, that fucking backstory is long, and it's just like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Yeah, it wasn't even like that good of a backstory either, honestly. It was it
No.
was, it was rather disappointing, honestly. Yeah, man, it was bizarre. It was definitely a bizarre choice to decide to put it in Italian with subtitles. Yeah, once again, bizarre, out of place, and unnecessary. I feel like we've been going negative the whole time, so I do want to bring positive into this as well. Bob and all the Bobs or whatever they are.
Brad,
Brad,
John.
all
Yeah.
of them. Fucking love them. All of them. I love that. Like them just in the call center with Beetlejuice. Just man, Bob, character of the movie for me, for sure. Him as Bob and him in as imposter Beetlejuice as well, because Beetlejuice trying to hide, of course, from the Monica Bellucci character because it was his ex-wife, which was, once again, like an interesting thought, right? Like, and I heard people saying like, oh, well, it makes sense because like when he tries to marry her later in the first movie, he pulls out the finger, and like, so it kind of is a callback to that, which I was like, yeah, that's cool. Once again, wish it was explored better, but yeah, man, the Bobs and all, or the Shrunken Head guys, just all fucking amazing. But Bob, just every time he is on screen, like I lit up. Like I don't know why, but I just found it hilarious. And then when the fucking Beetlejuice blows up the wall to get back into the afterlife, and all of them escape into the real world, was just fucking awesome. So I mean, honestly, in general, I loved pretty much everything in the afterlife. Like, and you're right, it's explored way more. I feel like in this movie, where like we're actually going into dry cleaners and just like random ass like locations, and I loved everything. Yeah, pretty much like in the afterlife. I thought exploring that world, I wish we explored it even more, honestly. Like cut out maybe some other storyline and just give us more, even more in the afterlife, because I loved everything we get in the afterlife in this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you on all that. So, yeah, Bob and all his little like shrunken head cohorts are
They're the minions, basically, right?
yeah,
They're like,
they're basically
yeah,
the minions, and it's
yeah.
amazing. Like I really loved it. Obviously, I always loved that design, going
Hmm.
back to the first Beetlejuice. And it's crazy how Bob, like he doesn't really talk, he does his head is too small, but he emoted in a way that you felt for him when
Yeah,
bad shit would happen to him. And you're like, God damn it, like poor Bob, was just
yeah.
minding his business. Yeah, I love that whole thing. And God, I love to see something with the rest of them in the real world,
Oh yeah.
trying to integrate themselves. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. And I agree with the afterlife, man. The afterlife is so fucking fun to explore. And this was going to be like my next point of what I love so much about the Beetlejuice series. The way the characters look when they're dead is so like they're really good inventions, and you know exactly how they died, and they're interesting and they're funny and they're quirky. And man, I love every time we saw a new like deceased person in the afterlife. I was always like just love the way that they looked, and they could go so many ways with that, and I wish we got more of that. It's there's this weird thing in this movie where you have the afterlife, which is amazing. You have the house from the first one, and even though they have access to both of them, they don't spend enough time in either of them. They spend so much time in fucking random locations that are like they're not interesting, and it's too bad.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Yeah, I would have preferred more stuff like in the house whenever. Like I said, I think when you're like dealing with the Dietz family and the afterlife, it's fucking awesome. Everything else, I feel like just is unnecessary and could have just been all cut. Like I feel like the movie's at its peak when you go to honestly the legacy characters, which eh, sometimes that doesn't work, but I feel like for this movie it worked great. Like and introducing the new Jenna Ortega character, but yeah, stick with all that and it's great. What did you think of them killing off Catherine O'Hara though, and bringing her in that? The whole like snake. I didn't love it. Like I did not love that arc for her.
So there's a few things about that character that I didn't like. Loved her. Like
Yeah, she's
I fucking
great.
love Catherine
Yeah.
O'Hara, and she's great as Delia. But one, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way that she was so successful. Because the whole thing that I loved about her character in the original Beetlejuice is that she's a legend in her own mind.
Yeah.
She's not actually good. She just
Mhm.
thinks she's really good. So for her to like be so good that there are schools named after her felt off to me. And I
Mhm.
didn't love that. And I feel like they didn't know what to do with her in this
Mhm.
story. And there's so much they could do with her, And
Yeah.
they kind of touch on it a little bit where she's kind of somehow become the voice of reason to oh my god, Lydia, which she wasn't in the original, and now it's like she's grown up to be almost like all this time, and she was actually right about how to raise a daughter, and she did
Mhm.
her best. But she just kind of meanders through the film without really a purpose, and I think
Mhm.
that's why they brought Charles' character back so much, was to give her a purpose, but it just didn't feel right. And killing her off that way just felt like, okay, she doesn't want to do a third movie. How can we like get rid of her? And it's
Yeah.
really too bad because that character is so fucking good in
Mm.
the original and very good in this one. I just feel like they kind of did her dirty in this.
Agreed. Yeah, I think I think she was done dirty, and like you said, maybe it was because she didn't want it. She's like, all right, I'll come back for this one, but maybe I don't want to come back for a third. So yeah, I was a little disappointed with kind of how I mean, her performance was great, and when she's on screen, she has some great laughs and stuff like that. Like the fucking line where she's like, "Your father like left us," and she's like, "Oh, he's divorcing you." She's like, "Oh, what a horrible thing to say." No, he's dead or whatever.
Yeah, right.
That was a great delivery on that line. But yeah, agreed. What about let's get into our other big legacy character that came back. What was your thoughts on Winona Ryder coming what's her I can't remember her
Lydia.
name right now. Lydia. What do you think of Lydia's arc in this one?
First, I agree with you. Winona Ryder is very hit and miss in this movie for me. Some scenes I felt Lydia, and some scenes I'm like, man, this is not Lydia at all. And I think that really comes down to her performance, and it was a little bit disappointing. Her storyline that she's getting married to Justin Theroux's character, you know, again, I thought they could just cut that character and do something with Beetlejuice. I don't know, like that's the problem. There's too many things going on, and it was unneeded. So yeah, I guess I wasn't into that whole thing either. It's another undeveloped villain, really, Justin Theroux's character. It just it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Hit or miss. Like I feel like her acting performance at times was downright bad, but for the most part, like You know, I like that she's still doing like spooky stuff, like right, like she was a spooky, so it makes sense that she's like a medium on a TV show, stuff like that. You know, the whole pill addiction thing felt a little weird to me.
It didn't really go
Um,
anywhere.
yeah,
Like,
and it didn't go anywhere. And then yeah, I think cut the boyfriend character completely. And because like he's like supposed to be a villain too, but like once again, it's like unfocused stuff with all these like sort of random villains. Focus more on the Monica Bellucci once again, you know what I mean? And her villain, or cut her and or go lean more into Justin Theroux's character as the villain. So yeah, like overall, like I think she's at her best when she's with Beetlejuice. Honestly. But I mean I like the sort of the strained relationship with her daughter. I did like that aspect of it. It made sense to the narrative and stuff like that. So yeah, hit or miss with her. And let's go into our, I guess, last legacy character, which is the star, right? Beetlejuice, who I fucking loved. I thought he was fantastic once again.
I couldn't
But
agree more, man. Like Michael Keaton is so fucking good as his character. I was a little concerned with the trailers, and that's because you really see like small snippets of it. But when you see the full character in motion, brilliant. I fucking love Beetlejuice, and once again, like the first film, you don't see him enough. And I get why. Maybe people would tire of him because his antics are very like extreme and everything like that. But yeah, I every time Beetlejuice is on screen, the movie gets better, and that's 100% fact.
yeah, how did you feel about his character in this one? Because they took a different approach. He's really more of a hero, like almost an anti-hero, I guess you would say, in this one. Like, whereas the first one, he was a complete fucking and utter villain. He's terrible. He tries to fucking, take advantage of Lydia, and in this one, he helps. Did you like it?
Yeah, I was fine with it. I think it's a natural progression for that character because people love him, and it would have been weird to try to make him a villain again, almost in
Mm-hmm.
the same way as the T-800 in Terminator. Like people loved Arnold Schwarzenegger as that character. It would have been weird to have him as villain again. So I thought it was fine. I am very disappointed, and this is our own fault. It's just expectations that they didn't start the movie with him still in the waiting room from the first one.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but whatever. That's just because we had concocted this whole intro for ourselves.
right,
But still, yeah, I think it was fine. It's not like he was overtly a hero either. He kind of had his own agenda going on
sure.
at the same time. But again, that's why I think Monica Bellucci's character is the one that should have had the spotlight as far as the villain goes, because that she's like a worse villain. So by her being a worse villain, he kind of falls into the hero character, and it would have made a
Mm.
little bit more sense for the overall story.
Yeah. No, I agree. I liked his sort of storyline and his arc in this one. I thought it worked well for the storyline and everything, and it was cool. I really enjoyed pretty much everything about him. I do think there were a couple of like weird instances and choices with him. Especially like the two musical numbers he does
Oh
with
my
where he's
god.
lip syncing. I
Mhm.
was not jiving with either. Obviously, the end one, which we'll get into. Let's get into the end dance
Yeah.
number later. But
Yeah.
the one where he's singing in with the guitar in the graveyard, I believe he's still in the mall or something like that. I
Yeah.
can't remember the song right now, but that just felt. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, yeah, we'll get to the whole like final church
Hmm.
scene soon. I do want to talk about one thing that I did love, and I wish that we had a little bit more of. We finally really get to see Halloween in this town
Oh yeah.
for a little bit, and I loved that. It really had kind of it reminded me of Halloween in my day, like in the
Hmm.
80s. So I wish we had seen more of that. The fact that it was Halloween wasn't enough of a feature, and that's one thing that makes kind of the real world that could have stood out in the real world. That was really cool. Now I knew it would be set during Halloween because when I went to see the set, they had Halloween decorations like all over the place. But I wish it had been kind of a bigger storyline in the real world.
Yeah, no, that was great. I loved seeing the kids trick or treating at the Deets home. I thought that was really fun. And then when the Bobs come running out, and then like the Bob, or I'm just gonna call them the Bobs, whatever,
Yeah,
because you know what I'm talking about.
you're
But
right.
and then like all the Bobs like on Halloween night, like one of them's like riding a bike down the road, and I think they're in like a supermarket or something like that at one point and shit. Like that was all just great. And you're right, like yeah, and then like seeing the neighborhood, all the kids trick or treating, and Lydia dropping Astrid off at what we come to find out is the murder house of this kid was cool. I love that whole area, and hopefully we can go to that film. That was filmed actually in Massachusetts. That house with the kid in that neighborhood. So hopefully we'll be able to go see it when we and you guys come visit in October. But yeah, like I mean, did you like? I mean, I know we kind of touched on the kid storyline a little bit, but I mean, I thought it was cool that he was like a murderer and like he murdered his family. I thought that was a cool arc to his story. At least there was some bit of villain to him. But once again, like he is now the third villain in this movie, right?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of saw it coming,
Hmm.
just because I felt that they were going that direction. Why he was never really leaving the house. Why the parents like completely ignore Astrid when she comes in. I had a
Mhm.
feeling that that's what they
Yeah.
were telegraphing. Just I don't know. I just had that feeling that that was the whole point of it. It could have been cool again if they had focused on it and that been the main focus of it, you
Mhm.
know. And I think he should have changed once in the afterlife, like, you know, almost like somehow he looked better in the real world in the afterlife, you
Sure.
know. But he was just a normal kid in the afterlife too, and I don't know, they didn't develop it enough to make it interesting, and it was kind of disappointing.
Mhm. And then one storyline we haven't even touched on yet that just made me realize something else is the dad.
Oh,
Astrid's
right.
father who passed away, and that's part of the reason why her and Lydia's relationship is strained because she's like, why can't you can contact like all these dead people, but you can't contact the most important person that did pass away, which was Astrid's dad, Lydia's husband, fiance. I don't know if they ever married. I can't remember if that was a thing or not, or they were just dating at the time or whatever. But anyway, they had Astrid, and he was like an explorer of some kind, and his boat goes missing, and he dies, and basically that's the way Lydia gets tricked by this boy. This dead boy is, hey, if you can help me get if you like say this line, you'll be able to see your dad. I'll take you to see your dad over in the afterlife. Obviously, which ends up being this whole trick. But yeah, then we end up finding the dad in the afterlife. Yeah, I don't know. Any sort of feelings towards that at all?
At first I thought that dad was still alive, because they never really confirm that he's dead. They just say he
Right.
went missing. And I thought the whole reason that he wasn't in the afterlife is because he was alive this whole time. And I thought it would have been clever if somehow, you know, both Lydia and Astrid got stuck in the afterlife, that Beetlejuice goes to get her dad in the real world to try to finally bring them back or something, you know. But the dad character, again, it felt kind of like a throwaway, you know, like
Yeah.
it just
Yes.
it could have been really interesting,
I
I think, that storyline, but they
Yeah,
just
I think it was a bit of a ball drop because I think you could have had a really strong emotional scene with
mhm,
that whole character, but instead, like it's almost plays off as a joke where like the fish are like all attached to him and like they're
right.
still like the piranha or whatever, and like they're floating around the face where it just like like there was this whole sort of supposed to be emotional connection there, but I feel like it played off more of as a joke to me, and to me it didn't really work.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, the payoff was just like once she finds him, he just basically joins in on the adventure. Like there's nothing
Right.
special about finding him. You know,
Yeah.
he's just kind of there. And I don't know. I think they dropped the ball as well on that one.
Hmm. And any more notes, Steve, or should we get into
Oh
at the
God, I have
very
so
end?
many
I
notes.
know you
I
get so many notes.
Yeah, it's just okay. We got to talk about one last thing before we
Okay.
get to the wedding. What did you think of the Beetlejuice baby?
Oh,
Because we do see it
yeah.
midway through the movie and then again at the end. Do we need a baby of every fucking character now? Is this like a thing now? To
Apparently.
me, I don't know. Maybe because I've seen everything else as baby at this point, that it didn't feel special. You know, I saw Baby
Hmm.
Grinch, Baby Groot, Baby Yoda. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
It just felt like they were going on the same trend.
Yeah, I mean, so that was like the only thing maybe in the whole movie that was spoiled for me prior, because NECA released the life-size doll, like in literally like 8 hours after the movie release, they like put it up on their website for pre-order. So I saw it. Although I didn't know like where it was gonna come into the storyline. It was fine. Like whatever. It was a throwaway thing, right? Like it was just sort of like a fun little moment. It wasn't anything like super important to the storyline. It was just sort of a fun little thing that was thrown in. So I had no issues with it. I had more issue with it at the ending than I did like the
Yeah,
middle
we'll
part.
get to yeah. So let's talk about the fucking wedding finally. Yeah. So the wedding is basically okay. I don't even remember who's. So it's Astrid. Who's getting married? I feel like there's that's the
Lydia.
problem. It's Lydia. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. She promised to marry
to marry
Beetlejuice in
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
exchange of to find Astrid in the
Yes.
afterlife, right? But Monica Bellucci shows up to this wedding.
Yep.
Justin Theroux is at the wedding.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem
This
Dafoe
is where
shows up to the wedding
everything
at some
connects here.
point,
Yeah.
and you think, what are they going to do with all these people converged in one place? Well, if you were thinking, hey, let's do a 7-minute fucking song, then yeah, you were right, I guess. What what the fuck were they doing here? Why is it the whole song? Why did it last so long? Like, I don't know. I didn't love this.
Yeah. You know, I understand, like, okay, like they had the iconic Deo thing, so they're like, let's do something again similar to it. To me, like, I didn't like the song choice. Deo is such a good song choice. I say bring Deo back or something, or like something similar, even if it's like a different version of it, like a more maybe modernized version of it. It would have been a great callback, and it would have been fun. You could have like sung along to it, danced around
The
with it.
problem is that they already
But
used it in the movie,
did
right?
they? I
Yeah,
don't
it's at the
remember.
funeral.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The kids sing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, change it up. Like
Yeah, I agree.
some way, somehow, right? Whatever. The kids didn't need to sing it at the funeral. They could have, just had the priest character doing his thing. Yeah. So, I didn't like absolutely hate it, but I didn't love it either.
Yeah, the problem for me is that I actually liked it,
Hmm.
but after 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, this is a little
Yeah,
long.
it does go
After
on
four
for a
minutes,
long
I'm like, God damn,
time.
like, do we have to do the whole
Yeah.
fucking song? Like,
Yeah.
it was just lasted way too long, and it really took the energy out of that entire scene, which was
Mhm.
kind of a mess of a scene to begin with. The
Sure.
reasoning why everyone is there was kind of muddled. Even Beetlejuice kind of felt like an accessory in that scene, and it's his wedding.
Right.
Like, why is he dragging it on so long? Uh, Monica Bellucci comes in, gets dispatched almost immediately.
Immediately by the sandworm, like, yeah,
Yo,
almost immediate, yeah, and that's the like problem because, like I said, she's like introduced. She is the first character besides Danny DeVito. She's basically like, from what I remember, the very first character we see like in this entire movie. So you think she's gonna have like this big sort of villainous arc at the end, and she shows up and is immediately disposed of by a sandworm, and it's a way to get rid of the boyfriend character as well, who is thrown in with the true serum or whatever, and kind of exposes himself as well.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was just too much. Yeah, so just going back to the dance scene because I had one more note about the dance scene. Do you think one of the reasons they did this was just to get Jenna Ortega to dance again, so that TikTok fucking can use it for the next 7 years?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, sure. It was whatever. I mean, like I said, they're all sort of doing their whole sort of dance number there. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was fine,
Yeah.
whatever.
What
But
you think of
and
the
Willem
sandworm
Dafoe
coming in?
shows up. I mean, he had to show up, right? Some way,
Yeah,
and he does. It happens earlier
we
in the
see him
movie
before
too,
in the
right?
yeah.
Yeah, right, where they kind of end up in the kind of nether region of the afterworld or whatever it is. Which is never fully explained, but apparently there's a desert there, and you're in Jupiter. I think she says she sees at one point or
Yeah,
whatever. So
right.
I guess it's sort of in like an outer space type thing. He was cool. Like he didn't look bad to me or anything like that. Like he just looked like how he did in the original movie. I feel like for the most part. So I was cool with it. I just wish that like once again, like we got more of um just more out of that finale. You know what I mean? Than what we ended up getting.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll ask you this question just before we get kind of to the end part. We complained a little bit during Alien Romulus that maybe they did a little bit too much like fan service. Do you feel Beetlejuice also tried to do too much fan service with bringing back so many elements from the first movie?
No, actually, I don't. I don't think they did enough, if in my opinion, honestly. I think obviously bringing back the legacy characters, it was great. And there were moments of greatness, but honestly, I think they could have used a little extra fan service. Like I wanted to see, like I think bringing the Maitlands back would have been awesome. And then I think they should have kept like I know even used a different actress, but Miss Argentina, I feel like should have still been working at the as the main thing in the afterlife thing, and like bringing back some of those like little random ass side characters that you see in the afterworld, but they didn't really bring any of those back. And I would have preferred to see them, I guess, other than Bob. But is Bob actually like the guy in the waiting room, or is he just
And
a
there's
different shrunken
multiple of
head
them, so we don't
character?
know,
Right?
right? If it
Yeah.
was just one
So we don't
Bob,
really
then we'd be like,
right.
yeah, probably, but
Which we don't know. Which, speaking of Bob, once again, just completely fucking done dirty, which we didn't even get
yeah,
into.
right.
But the fact that they kill Bob in this movie is so upsetting. He didn't need to be killed off at all. And I hope some way, somehow, he comes back in the third movie and is like the hero character. Like he finds a way to save, like Beetlejuice like is locked up in like a cage or something, and Bob shows up or something and saves the day or something. Because Bob deserves some justice after how dirty he's done in this movie.
I agree with that. I will say I do feel that there was a little bit too much fan service in some ways. Like they bring back the Book of the Dead, and it's kind of thrown away almost immediately. It's just there's a lot of things that come back which they almost brought back, like the sandworm. I don't think it was needed. I get it's part of the story, but it felt a little shoehorned in. And I agree, like little touches would have been really cool. And even the waiting room, like, did we really need to see the waiting room if they're not going to have Beetlejuice in it? I want to explore more of the afterlife. We got to Soul Train, which was new to this film.
I
It's
enjoy the
interesting.
Soul Train.
Me
I enjoyed
too.
it.
And
Yeah.
that's why, because we're exploring new parts of the underworld. I don't want to see the same the same rooms I saw in the first film, so that's why that's what I mean by saying I wish they explored more new territory and a little bit less of just bring callbacks to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point, but I think they did do enough with other sets, right? Because you get like the call center, and you get like the one laundromat scene, even Willem Dafoe's offices. So I think they did explore like a lot, and the Soul Train. So I think they did explore like enough new for me personally. And they did, yeah. I mean, I think it was cool to go back into the waiting room and see it again. But like I said, I just think you could have added some like those little touches that would have made it even better.
Yeah, I agree. And then finally, the very ending. So, everything goes back to normal or whatever. So Delia
Right.
goes on the Soul Train with Charles.
Charles, yeah.
Yeah, so they leave. And then you have Justin Theroux. Does he die or does he just pass out and leave?
He
I don't
gets
remember.
eaten by the sandworm,
Oh,
right?
that's
With
right. Yeah, he
Monica
gets eaten by the
Bellucci, yeah.
sandworm. Monica Bellucci is also eaten by the sandworm. Bob, unfortunately, succumbs to
R.I.P.
yeah, exactly.
He gets his soul sucked out.
But the main part is that Lydia and Astrid kind of go off, and then very randomly they go see. So part of the story was that they wanted to go see some horror locations in
Yeah.
real life and kind of see them all. Something that she wants to do with her dad, but she's going to bring her instead. But then she meets a guy super quickly. They get married, and poof, she has a baby. Like it's just
Which is any of that real? Or is
that's
that
what we don't
all
know,
one
right?
long dream sequence, right? I think to me it was just like all one long random ass dream sequence just to throw in the baby once again.
Right?
Yeah, it was like just a whatever. It was like honestly just like a throwaway scene to me.
Yeah. And is
Um
Beetlejuice dead? Or
no,
is
I
he going
don't
to come
no.
back as a
I
new character through the baby?
I mean, does Beetlejuice what happens at the Beetlejuice at the very very end? I
He
can't even
he
remember.
like explodes.
Oh, that's
Uh,
right. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. Because yeah. No, I don't think he's dead. I
no,
mean, obviously, because what the end he's in bed with her, right? Or is
yeah,
it? Yeah,
Yeah. It's
right. And then it just sort of ends
right.
a bit abruptly. Yeah, that whole end sequence was just unnecessary. I didn't love it,
Hmm.
I think just ended at sort of the sort of happy ending. Even prior wedding, just like have them going into Transylvania's castle or whatever and exploring the horror stuff, and sort of ended at that with maybe like a Beetlejuice tie-in at the end,
Right.
But the whole like dream sequence thing didn't do it for me. And once again, like the baby character is just kind of whatever to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's like honestly, the way I would have ended it was as simple as they go to the castle, and they like it's just Lydia and Astrid walking into the castle, which
Yeah.
kind of ties that storyline. And then you have one of the Bob characters like just randomly like with
That'd
a
be great.
map in the side,
Yeah.
just like a little
Yeah,
callback
yeah.
to that, and
That'd
that's
be
it. I would have
funny.
ended it like right there.
Sure. Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be perfect. All right.
Right.
Well, I think we tackled like fucking that whole movie, Steve. That was
Yeah.
there was a lot to
And
explore
we
though
probably
with
forgot
this
some stuff too.
movie. I
That's
know,
the
I'm sure we
crazy
did.
thing.
There was so much to what even happens to Willem Dafoe's character at the end? I don't even remember with him.
He gets frozen at some point.
Oh, that's
Like,
right.
does he get
Yeah, yeah.
unfrozen and just goes back to the? I
I
think he
think
goes back
so.
to the
Yeah.
afterlife.
I think he just was like, all right, boys, like our job's done here, and
Yeah,
just
basically,
walks
yeah.
off with all the zombie cops or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, you ready for a third movie, right? I mean, it's gonna happen, right? At
It's
this
gonna
point.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with the amount of money it's making and stuff. It's yeah, it's definitely gonna happen.
All right. All right. So let's get into rating this sucker then. Um, yeah, man. I mean, I think we just tackled like this entire movie. I mean, I think it's one of our most probably in-depth reviews we've done in quite a long time, but I mean, a movie that's been 30 years in the waiting definitely deserved it. Yeah, man. Overall, despite its flaws, I just was grinning for the most part from ear to ear for most of this movie. So yeah, I mean, I think nostalgia definitely plays a factor for me in this one. But man, I had so much fun. I can't wait to watch it again. Like you said, I think it's a perfect Halloween time watch. I'm very interested to watch this back to back with the original and see if my opinion is going to change after doing that. But as it stands now, I loved it. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, it's one of those ironic moments where we spent the majority of the review talking shit about it, but in the end, I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I also give it a 4 out of 5. Despite all the issues it has so much charm, so much heart, and I actually can't wait to watch it again. Like I will
Yeah,
watch it almost immediately once it's released on Blu-ray, which is or 4K or whatever I'm gonna buy it on. So yeah, a lot of issues. It could have been honestly the issues just hold it from being a 5 for me, like a 5,
sure. Yeah.
4.5, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still a very enjoyable film and one I dug a lot.
Mm-hmm. I obviously, I mean, I think it goes without saying this will be part of your top 10 list, most likely.
Uh, maybe, yeah. I think it's pretty high. Let me check here. Yeah,
So for yeah,
yeah.
I
It probably will be.
I don't think I can put it on there because if I'm not putting Ghostbusters on there, I don't think I can put Beetlejuice on there because I feel like it's sort of the same theme of it's more comedy than horror, but there's like a ton of spooky elements in there. So we'll see how
Yeah.
this year goes.
Right.
But I feel like I'd be a hypocrite, to put this on there and not Ghostbusters, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Alrighty, folks. Letterboxd. I forgot to throw it in there. Currently, our friends over at Letterboxd has it at a 3.4 out of 5, so pretty high over there on Letterboxd. So slightly lower than us, but a pretty solid average. So it seems like the majority of people are enjoying Beetlejuice. What do you think Todd will think of it?
Oh, he's not as
I think he'll be
forgiving as we
lower.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he'll be lower on it
like
than
a
us.
3 or a 3.5, I would
I
say.
feel like he does love the original though, as
Yeah.
well, from what I remember. So we'll see. But yeah, I think he'll be a little more critical of it
Right.
than us. So we'll see. He'll let you know. I know he's gonna watch it pretty soon, so you'll
Right.
hear it on What Watch from him within the next few weeks, I'm sure. Alrighty, folks, that is going to wrap it up for this episode. We hope you enjoyed our review. Next week, what do we got, Steve?
We are going on the complete opposite side of the horror spectrum. We're going from a comedy, colorful, like fun horror film to a fucking dark, like bloody, gory film in a violent nature, which released on Shudder. So check it out and follow along. It's going to be a hell of an episode to talk about. There's some kills in there that are pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Once again, before I forget, don't forget, stick around for our interview after my little spiel here with Larry Bagby and Tobias Jelinek, Jay and Ice from Hocus Pocus. It's a really cool interview, so stick around for that. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But the best way to keep up with the podcast, as you already know, is our Discord. Completely free to join. It's linked over on our Instagram, or send us a DM and we'll get you a link to join that Discord. Also, do not forget our campaign. We are making a horror movie, ladies and gentlemen. The final episode is the name of our movie. We have an Indiegogo campaign that is also linked over on our Instagram. A ton of great perks. If you would like to support us in our movie making journey, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already, or you can buy merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad Podcast. That is also linked over on our Instagram. And I think that's about it. I'm exhausted, folks. We recorded 2 episodes back to back. I'm tired. I'm ready to go. We'll see you next week for In a Violent Nature. See ya.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad Podcast, where today we are joined by 2 very special guests. They will be joining us in Salem, Massachusetts this coming October for our special event. Please welcome Jay and Ice themselves, Larry Bagby and Tobias Jelinek. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. How you doing?
We are excited to be here.
The applause sound. Can you make a
well, Larry's still arriving. There we go.
Yeah. We are happy to be here. I tell you what. And I'm happy to see Tobias. We chat on the phone pretty often, but we don't get to see each other like this.
No more than twice a day.
Yeah.
And of course, all we've been talking about lately is this rather phenomenal event that's coming to Salem, Massachusetts, yes. October 11th through 13th.
Right.
This is our first time being in Salem since we filmed Hocus Pocus. We've been talking about this for years. And of course, Jason, Omri, and Vanessa broke the seal last year.
Yes.
And that's all we've been doing conventions, and all anyone talks about is how much fun they had in Salem, Massachusetts last year. So we're joining the party.
Yeah. Indeed, we did last year. And you already stole one of my questions, because one of my questions was last year when we did the event, I had asked Omri and Vanessa if they had ever been back to Salem before, and they hadn't either. And it really had blown my mind. And it's crazy to me that none of you guys have been back since that movie got filmed. It's just wild to me. But I guess my first question is, this event, it'll be your first time back in Salem. I assume maybe you guys will make a trip to Marblehead as well to check out the infamous cemetery scene you guys filmed as well. But is there anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Oh man, for me, it'll be the fact that we're all going to be there together. Like Tobias said, we haven't been back, him and I, since we shot the movie. We were supposed to go back a couple of years ago when Amanda Shepard and Doug Jones went back with our agency, Cool Waters, and they did the tour with the fans, and we were supposed to be on the bus, and we were so bummed. We were both working, so that was a good thing. Yeah. But we were bummed that we couldn't be there. So it's coming full circle that we get to do it, not just with each other going back, but also Jason, who played the voice of Binks, Jason Marsden, and Vanessa Shaw, who's Allison, and Omri Katz, who played Max. And we're gonna have a blast, huh? Are you looking forward to it, Tobias? Or I don't know if we're gonna be able to go in the limo like we did when we were in 1990.
We've got a trolley this time, Larry.
We've
got a trolley.
It ain't no limo, son.
Yeah, well, it's also, this is different. You know, it's very cool how this has been set up, where it's really a celebration. It's kind of true to the spirit of Hocus Pocus, where it's just not going to do things the traditional way. It's not going to be a hit straight out of the gate. It waited 30 years to really come into its prime, and it's kind of rewriting what you can do with the convention. I mean, to be honest, Joe, I mean, I'm curious, like, I don't know of other films or shows that have taken over a town like this. And instead of just doing an autograph signing, we're looking at burlesque party and late night costume party. And then, of course,
We're doing
like,
a screening with live commentary.
fun stuff, and the trolley ride. So it's pretty interesting that it's truly a party. It's got a little bit of that Merry Pranksters, which is appropriate, seeing as that Omri's weed business is the Merry Dankster. Right. So I see he's got his stamp on this. Yeah, should be.
Yeah, and you're so right, because you'll see it when you get here, but a huge reason tourists come into Salem is the Hocus Pocus movie.
Wow.
It is absolutely insane. Ask Omri, ask Vanessa, ask Jason last year. I think even they were taken a bit aback when we did a Sunday. We had no events, so we ended up taking them on a filming location tour of some of the places they had filmed, and literally we had to keep them hidden because the amount of people in front of all of these filming locations,
wow,
is insane. Especially in October. Obviously, it's the biggest time of the year when the tourists really come in and overtake the city. And I think, and everyone will say it, I think over the last 10 years, especially, the tourism industry has blown up in the city. And honestly, I attribute it a big time to Hocus Pocus, because you walk around and you see everyone in their, Hocus Pocus themed shirts. You got, big female groups wearing their, Winnie and all the different witch shirts and stuff like that. It's like, you go to Disney World, you see Thing 1, Thing 2, or Universal, you see Thing 1, Thing 2. Instead, you see like Witch 1, Witch 2 with all the Sanderson sisters embossed on there and whatnot. So it's crazy. And like I said, the filming locations, especially obviously Rope's Mansion, which was where Allison's house in the movie, and then of course Max and Danny's house, which they actually, it is in a residential neighborhood. They actually in October have to close the road down because of the amount of tourists that go down into this residential neighborhood to take pictures. So you guys will experience it, obviously, especially when you do the trolley tour. You'll be able to see all of those filming locations. And I would love to try to get you guys out to Marblehead at some time too, so you guys can see. Do you have memories of filming, in Marblehead, or is it mainly the memories of Salem?
No,
So Marblehead was our first location, right, for us, Tobias?
That's the cemetery.
That's the cemetery. Yeah, that was our very first thing. Yeah, we got the role and then rehearsed in Burbank in California, and then they sent us to Boston, and we, and that's where they picked us up in the limo and took us to our hotel, and then the next day we were out at that cemetery. So we actually have footage of that. So the memory is not just here, but I had a video camera. Tobias, tell them a little bit about that.
Oh, well, I mean, what's to say? It was the coolest. I saw this thing, and it was the newest, latest model of, the high eight.
The Canon A1 digital. A1. That's A1. That's the top at the time. And it's a pretty big camera. And I just took it everywhere. Tobias and I have footage of us hanging out in the trailer, just goofing off in our wardrobe and eating food with all the cast at the craft service. And
but then also seeing Kenny work. Don't you think, like, at first we, of course, it was fun watching all of us kids, but what's been interesting lately is, Larry would ask one of the parents or someone in the crew to hold the camera while we were filming, and so you see these multiple takes with Kenny directing us, and how good he was at keeping the energy up and also keeping our own natural energy relaxed, and so you get our vibes. It was really cool to see because he's a choreographer, and you really see that in the way he was handling, the set energy and keeping everybody up.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned the camera, Larry, because I heard, from a little birdie that you might be giving a big treat to some of the fans who do attend this. It's just a bunch of Halloween weekend this October.
Yes, there might be a little sneak peek to that footage. We're trying to put something together for the fans that will be exclusive and the first time anybody's seen it outside of probably Tobias and I and Jason now, and then a couple family members. But yeah, we've got some amazing footage. It's so fun to look back at that, and even footage of when I accidentally brought the camera out when the witches were filming in the house.
Wow.
And we were waiting for our scene. We're supposed to be up in the cages, but of course they're filming the witches first, so we're just sitting watching from the sidelines. But I have that camera, and all of a sudden I point the camera towards Bette Midler, and I'm like, oh, this is a good shot. I'm zooming in, and I just feel I feel her just glancing up and looking into the camera, and she's with Winifred, and I was already intimidated, and she's like, what? And what happened then, Tobias?
I don't know, because the camera started shaking and moved down, and it started to look a little like Blair Witch Project as you made a beeline for the
That would have been
stage.
the Lair Witch Project.
And then a cat jumped on the lens. It was crazy.
Oh, it was nuts. And now we can't. That's the footage that we can't seem to find. And we think it's been cursed.
Yeah, it's gone. We're on the hunt.
She had the people after us. Disney came and found it in my garage or something.
Apparently. Now, obviously, I mean, you guys still today, I think you could definitely feel the chemistry between you two guys. But I gotta ask, has the chemistry always been there? Had you guys known each other prior to meeting before filming, or was it just love at first sight?
Well, for me, I needed more testosterone, so that the chemistry was off until they gave me more testosterone. Mm-hmm. And if you believe that, you believe anything. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
And then it just clicked.
It was it. That was it. I needed less what estrogen, more testosterone.
Now Joe, I still remember the first time I met Larry. You got to bear in mind, this was my first film audition. I was a kid growing up in Santa Barbara, California, beach town, and a Disney scout had come to a play in a roundabout way. It led to this audition, going on the Disney lot, but I didn't even really have expectation because I wasn't in the scene. So they had been looking all over the country, but then they did the callback, which was, in my memory, it was months later, like literally months later. I remember I'd spent the summer like cleaning grass out of the grout of my father's school. They were running a school in Santa Barbara. And I go into the room, and there's this guy. And they left us, the casting director, Doherty, she left the room, and we were in there both very excited, and this guy hops down on the floor and starts doing breakdancing. Of course, was very big at the time. Starts doing a head spin, and that's when I knew, I really like this guy. But we were just even having fun at that point. I mean, Larry, I don't know. For me, it's like wasn't even thinking about the job. Didn't really even know what to think about getting a job. He and I hit it off. We were just playing around, and that's what I mean. As soon as they left the room, we were already goofing off. And they come back in, and we ran the scene, I feel like once or twice for their VHS camera, and then we got the job. Yeah. But that was it. I mean, it was like from the get-go, and like that first cemetery scene, we had hung out in our hotel room, and we were improvising around it. We came up with, the moment that made it in there where we played dumb as to not knowing LA, Los Angeles, we wanted to add that, and Kenny said, go for it. So it's always been this.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun throwing back and forth, and we got to do it again a few years back for
Right.
the E channel entertainment network, and it was so fun because we got to spend some time together, and we went to the park just down the way from NBC there, where we went to the E channel, and we rehearsed the scene again, and it was like it came right back, and it was so fun to do it as adults.
Well, that was funny because remember that park, it was actually right across the freeway there. It's the 134. No, it's 101 at that point. So it's 101. And on the other side is the Sheraton Universal Hotel,
right,
which is where they were putting me up when we were shooting Hocus Pocus. And it was also the same hotel where we had convinced my mother, because she was driving up from Santa Barbara, and Larry had just turned 18 when we were filming, and we convinced her to sign over legal guardianship to Larry. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that was, so it was funny. That was the hotel where all the shenanigans happened, and we were, so it was very funny.
By the way, Tobias, I do still have some of your per diem, the money they gave us daily, which I'll get back to you, I swear. I have some debt, and but as soon as I pay the debt, like maybe I'll do it over the next 20 years. We'll just break it up.
Get me in Salem, and if not, there's enough spooky stuff to perhaps make it worth your while.
To what?
Do you have any cold feet? Yeah.
Are you talking to me, Tobias, like that?
Well, maybe, since you recreated a few years ago, but it wasn't in the actual cemetery. So I think we might need to get you guys out to Marblehead when you're here, and we can do it for real.
Oh, wow.
That might be pretty cool.
Wow.
Now, my next question, Hocus Pocus, obviously, it's become just an absolute, and as this actually is a perfect segue into my question, because we have a Billy Butcherson, merchandise in the background here. But my question is, it's become such a cultural phenomenon over the last 30 years, and obviously it didn't start that way, but it just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single year, where especially, in October, but even not in October now, the merchandising has just gone insane on this movie. So my question is, do you guys ever, you'll be out shopping in the mall, in the store, and you see this, and I know you see it, this Hocus Pocus merchandise, do you ever sort of look, take a moment, reflect, and be like, wow, like this is huge, and I was a part of it?
It still surprises me seeing stuff out there, and it's what's on my agenda is the only thing that we don't have is a Funko.
Yes,
I want a Funko. We want a Funko. Our Funkos should be together.
I love it. Yeah.
Anyway, no, it is really cool, and even they're re-releasing the movie again, October 18th in theaters, not just in the States, but apparently in Canada here as well. So that's pretty exciting to know that this movie that was such a sleeper has grown to now. It was, I think last year was in the top 10 in the box office when they released it in the theaters again, which is pretty cool that it finally kind of made its way, and that people would go out and actually see it in the theaters again when they have it on VHS, Blu-ray, 4K, Laserdisc, whatever it be, So it's pretty phenomenal. I'm blown away by it, and I'm grateful to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah, I like seeing Larry's collection. Yeah. Larry, it is really. I mean, I really do have to say, I'm jealous of how much he really appreciates, and it's so phenomenal. That's how we all need to be in life.
I've got one for you.
Done, all the lessons.
I got two every time. So Tobias, I've been collecting for you too. I just don't know if you have room for in storage for them, but you've got it all too. We've got two of everything.
Yeah.
Now, Larry, do you like go out, and when you see stuff, do you pick it up, or is that sent over by fans, or is it a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both. Like speaking of which, remember these, Tobias? How cool those.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually the one thing I kept. I really dig that. Yeah,
This guy, anybody should check this
super cool.
dude out.
They do.
Yeah,
and they can do custom heads too. They do really cool stuff.
he made these for us, and then there was this other really wonderful fan that the night before he was at the con, and he said, I'm gonna make you a Lego tonight. And he went back and he made this incredible Lego. Like he just made it and just gave it to me. I was like, that is too cool. So those are cool. I guess it's just just in case Funko wants an idea of what these might. And then the other stuff, man, I try to pick up stuff and collect it. The one thing I don't have, well, there's a lot of things I probably don't have with Hocus Pocus merchandise, but is the Lego house.
Oh, the Lego set, yes.
Which is pretty cool. Kind of a bummer that we're not in there, but we are apparently, because there's cages with little skeletons in there. Okay. And we assume that those were our skeletons sitting in the cage.
That's actually it's a good segue actually in to my next question. Actually, speaking of the skeletons in the cages, because a lot of fans, they had hoped to see you guys back. Obviously, they had hoped to see all of the legacy characters back for Hocus Pocus 2, which unfortunately we didn't get. And I'm just saying this. I think Disney dropped the ball by not bringing any of you guys back for that movie. But a lot of fans theorized that you were still possibly in your cages, chilling out, maybe in skeleton form. Maybe you somehow were getting fed by someone after all these years. So I got to ask you guys, where do you think Jay and Ice are today? Did they escape those cages? Are they still in them? Where are they at?
Well, according to the 25th anniversary, right, Tobias, we finally get out of our cages. I don't know if y'all saw the Freeform. It was a tribute to kind of it was for the fans, and we did it at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery for the 25th anniversary.
Come on. What happened to Ice? What did you become?
Something really great. I became what did I become? A cop.
A cop. Okay.
I think you became a principal according to one of those Hocus Pocus
that
books.
book gets a lot of credit. That
Aaron Wallace. Yeah,
people talk about it a lot, and people like what he came up with in terms of. Yeah. Oh, you have it.
You just asked what merchandise do you need, man? I got it all. What do you got? I got.
Have you seen that book, Joe?
Drugs.
I've not seen this book actually.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you have now.
Thora Birch wrote the intro, right, or the foreword.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And in fact, even the book that just came out, the oral history. Tobias, did you get your copy?
I did,
dude. I'm reading it. I went through and just read our parts first, and she picked some great. I mean, I'm sure there was an editor involved, but she picked some really great little segments that of our conversation. And she also talks about this book, Aaron Wallace. So check that book out too. But also check out the oral history. Shannon Carlin, is that her last name? You remember, Tobias?
I'm not 100% on the last name. I think so.
Hers is her Instagram's like New Girl on. But anyway, check out that book because it tells the whole history. All of us were interviewed. The cast, the crew, the writers, the writers that were on and off the film. It really goes into it, and you get some really great details to how that all came about.
Very awesome. I'll have to ask Brian, because he is handling some of the vendors that are going to be at your autograph signing, and I believe he did say one of the authors of one of the new books is going to be there.
I think Shannon is coming for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Jason. I think Jason connected with her on that.
Very cool. Yeah, so everyone that's coming, you'll be able to pick up that book that you just heard about.
That's the book, and Shannon Carlin. Yeah,
Shannon Carlin. Okay. The oral history. Very cool.
It's so cool. It is so cool.
Awesome. Now, being
Like cool as ice.
cool as ice. Did you have any hesitations about having ice shaved in the back of your head, or were
Yes.
you down for it the whole time? You did.
As a matter of fact,
Did you
I
keep
did. I did not. I replaced
However-
I replaced it with a bald spot.
Joe, if you know any barbers,
Hey,
a cool barber shop in town,
I know a perfect barbershop that would do it.
okay, he's up for it. Larry
he?
will do it.
well,
yeah.
listen, there's rumors. I don't know if can we talk about this yet? There's rumors that I don't know if you know, but not Tobias, but Omri, after he acted for years, he went away from that, and he was a hairstylist. Yeah, and we're talking about maybe, because I stole the cross trainers, and to make it up to him, maybe I'll let him shave ice in the back of my head on stage.
Wow.
At the screening or the party or something, and maybe even offer, if somebody wants to jump up and join the ice gang, that maybe he would do some of the fans and donate to charity.
Very
That's
awesome.
what we're thinking.
That'd be amazing.
So-
Yeah, I think the screening would be probably the perfect place for that, because
Cool.
screening's going to be, it's at a massive theater right outside of Salem and Beverly. Tickets are almost sold out, folks. So if you haven't already, you're hearing about all this special stuff that's going to be there for that. So do not hesitate. We are, I think, at almost 80% sold out of that. So definitely grab your tickets, because it'll probably be sold out within the next before October. So I would definitely jump on that if you haven't already, guys.
Tobias, you should tell him about the bet I lost with you last year.
Which one?
Where I told you if you won, I would shave ice in the back of my head again.
Number one, I have already shared this with you, Larry. I was joking.
What?
But you did show up to Niagara Falls with ice.
What do you mean that was a joke?
I've already said this because I have no reason to feel good. Yeah, there's no reason I need to feel good.
Well, I need to speak with my lawyers ASAP, because some of that it's still there. It did not fade. It still won't grow back.
Larry,
I have a hairpiece there now.
Yeah.
So thanks.
It just got a little like CE, I think, right? Just still.
Yeah. Maybe I should put L in front of that. That would be lice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're talking to barbers, and I guess we're gonna have to talk to some lawyers too now.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll get you that money, man. I swear.
Bigger. Yeah.
Now, obviously, here being a horror podcast, I have a very simple horror-themed question for you guys. Well, first off, did you guys even know? Because I don't know, when you guys got involved in the script process for this, or when you did your readings, but Mick Garris wrote the screenplay for this movie, and it was originally supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
When you guys had read the script, did you get to read that script at all, or was it already sort of Disney-fied by that point?
No, I think Neil Kuber, I think that's his name. He came in and punched it up and added our characters to bring a little comedy to the mix. And I know at one point, and we talked about this before, but that while Kenny was doing, Disney was doing some of the test screenings, they pulled it because there was, there's only so much time. They wanted the film to be an hour and a half. And so they pulled our scenes completely, and I guess it didn't test as well, or people seemed to like the comic relief of whatever the bullies brought to the story. But that was nice, because it's always, you never know if you're going to end up in a film or not when they're filming. Could end up on the cutting room floor.
Also David Kirshner, who's involved in Child's Play.
Yes.
So you've got an interesting pairing there with Mick Garris.
He's a registered offender?
Well,
Oh, the movie. Right. Make sure you clear that up.
Yeah, clear that one up. Yeah.
Chucky.
Oh, Chucky. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry, Tobias. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, we're making just a horror connection there, Larry.
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate the horror connection. Thank you so much, Tobias. We'll give you a call. Thanks.
Now, to go with the horror connections, I got to ask you guys, I mean, are you guys fans of the genre? And if so, can you give us maybe a couple of your favorites or maybe a hidden gem you think perhaps the listener should check out?
For me, Lilo and Stitch and Little Mermaid
There
freak
you
me out
go.
a little.
Perfect.
Tobias, are you a horror fan? I think we've talked a little bit about
so I
this.
have a
You like the
10-year-old.
classics, right?
10-year-old, and we really, and it's fascinating when you go back to those archetypal universal films and saw how much they were able to do, with imagination, but also the stories. Like, I mean, how much of that has just been repeated time and again. But to this day, some of it they simply did better in some, so I do go, just when they were the ingenuity, and I've worked quite a bit with a wonderful effects makeup artist named Ed French, who, was Oscar nominated for Star Trek and has worked on a bazillion different films and shows. And it's so great when you get to talk to some of these people that were, really involved at the beginning of when you were creating horror. And, they're dealing with the cotton balls and the glue, and just, we still, like, so many horror fans and I think it's also what we see at conventions. There's something when it's raw and with that aspect of childhood as well, like how you can create something horrific on your own. So I do have to say, I'm a big fan of practical. I'm a really big fan, because I think that the more we go into the CG, it's just also for kids or people who are discovering the genre to feel connected to it, and to know, like, so that it becomes like something you're doing under your fort with a flashlight in your bedroom with friends, accessing those stories, because we're storytellers. So, I like those archetypal films that remind us what we're watching for and what it can do.
Agreed, 100%.
I personally, I'm not huge on the horror films, but I appreciate like suspenseful kind of little jump scare movie type stuff. I'm not crazy about all the bloody gory stuff, but of course I love like some of the classics as well, Dracula and all the early creep monster movie stuff.
You had a pretty bloody gory death in this new Kevin Costner film.
Oh,
true that. Yeah, you just saw it, right, Tobias? You
did. Really enjoyed. Yeah.
Did you enjoy watching me?
I enjoyed watching
get my head blown off. Spoiler alert!
Spoilers, yeah.
Well, it was more than that. You guys were, I mean, I like that whole beginning, that whole, first 2/3 of that film. I really, really enjoy. I mean, I thought Kevin was fantastic. I think Costner was great in it. And I love that. Who's the actor from Stranger Things?
Yeah, Jamie Campbell.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, he plays
Phenomenal.
Vector. He's incredible.
Was he Vecna? Right? Did he play Vecna in Stranger Things?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great actor, and that movie had it's got quite the list of stars. I definitely got buried in that, but I was grateful to be a part of it, and kind of a significant part in the first hour of the movie. The first hour of I think it's probably 10 hours or maybe 11 hours. I don't know how long. The second one I think is close to 3 hours as well. So I'm not sure if the third one's coming. They're saying there's talk of it not now. I'm not sure. So
I hope it does. You really do have to applaud Kevin Costner. It's refreshing when we see someone like also put their own resources into a vision that he's had for so many years. I mean, he had to, he had Yellowstone, I think, had to happen.
Yeah.
But he's like, I can still do it.
Yeah, and he was great to work with. Such a nice and gentle, and he's an actor's director, so he encouraged us to just do stuff. Like, it's not in the script, but he's like, I mean, you're in this scene. What are you gonna do? Go do something. Grab the thing or do something. What would you do? So we all got going, and then they extended our scene for another 3 weeks. So we were glad that happened. Tobias, you were recently working on something. Are you able to talk about what you just recently worked on? You were in Vancouver for that.
Vancouver. It's just a new NBC show, The Hunting Party. It'll be nice and twisted. I kick it off. I'll be starting the show.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And you were part of that Obliterated that the Cobra Kai guys did as well, right?
Cobra Kai guys. Yeah.
Yeah. You've been working a ton. Tobias is. I enjoy watching his work. I love when he pops up with a lot of guest star and TV stuff and a lot of films still. And I'm happy to see he's still out there and very. It just gets better and better, man. I love it.
Well, you're a little too far away, brother. All the way out.
Yeah, we'll be together soon enough.
Luckily, his fiance is ready to move to Los Angeles, so I think she'll act this way.
She loves LA. We're talking about. She's coming up. I don't know if I should mention, but the big 4-0 in February, and I think we might come out there for her birthday. And so,
all right, Joe.
But I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you before then. But we'll see you in Salem.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Joe, what's your favorite horror film? Do you have it? Can you pinpoint one?
I do. Yeah, I pinpointed The Shining. The Shining's my all-time favorite. It was actually on AMC last night. I was watching it last night. It's like every time it's on, I got to stop. I got to watch it. Just the performances in that movie. Rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. We just lost her this year, just not too long ago. But man, both the performances in that movie. And it's funny because literally I just interviewed Vanessa last week, and we had a very lengthy talk about Stanley Kubrick because she worked with Kubrick.
Eyes Wide Open.
Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she had some really great stories with Kubrick. But yeah, Kubrick, he really did some, I think, amazing things with that movie. And I find it so funny that Stephen King hated his interpretation of The Shining. So, and I find it to be just better than the source material in a lot of ways. So yeah, but that, and then I go with The Exorcist probably as my number 2. Those are kind of the top 2 that really, I think, molded me into the horror fan I am today. Yeah. But I mean, you guys kind of stole my last question there with all the promotion stuff. But before we wrap this up, I got to ask you, is there anything, I know you mentioned a couple of those projects there, but is there anything else you guys have in the works, or where can our listeners follow you guys for updates?
Well, I've got a movie that is doing some film festivals right now. It just got into the Twin Cities Film Fest that's happening in October 24th. They're screening the movie I did called Band on the Run. It's a great independent film. We've already got distribution options, but we're just waiting to finish the festivals and see what else comes along. But that will be out hopefully by the beginning of next year, and I get to play a really fun role. I'm in a wheelchair. I have MS, and my son is lives in Detroit and is in a band around the late 1990s. It's kind of based on a true story that the director and writer of the film about his own life. And basically, they take their sick dad on the road. So it's just the band and the sick dad on the road while they go to Austin city limits or Austin music festival to try to get a record deal. And him and the son connect on a new level because he finds out that his dad was a drummer and had aspirations to be a musician. And so it's a pretty cool film. And then I have also from my new album, one of the songs from that is in the film called Breakdown Breakthrough.
Very cool.
So that's the most recent. Tobias?
This is really great. And where can people find you? Instagram, Larry Bagby?
Oh, well, yeah, that works. Larry Bagby, larrybagby.com, Bagby. And yours is Tobias Jelinek, right?
Yeah.
Spelled J.
Oh, I don't have, is my name not popping up? Probably not.
Yeah, Tobis.
Okay.
Tobias Jelen.
No.
Eli N-E-K.
Yeah, Jelin.
T-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because it just popped up on Netflix. They moved Mayfair Witches,
Oh, that's
which
great.
we kicked that show off, and people are loving that. So it's with the Alexandra Daddario, and this just came to Netflix. It's an interesting thing with Netflix for some shows, because that had been a couple years ago, and this was AMC, but now it's over, and so it's getting a lot of play, and a lot of people are noticing it. It's worth checking out. It's so easy now.
So that's such a great character.
Is that Anne Rice? Is that Anne Rice?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Nice. Mm-hmm.
So you check it out. Yeah, that's fun. That literally just came up a few weeks ago. And then this serial killer I play on the NBC show. I don't know when it'll be 2025 when that comes up, but I'll hopefully stay up on Instagram. So keep in touch with us there.
How many serial killers have you played here, Tobias?
My goodness, they're just fun a lot of the time. You know?
And does this come from how do you study for a role like that?
It's all in the imagination.
Oh man, I loved you in the it was the NCIS, the LA. Was that
LA?
the one where it was the opening season last year or the year before?
Oh,
and the carnival,
that's CSI.
CSI.
Yeah. There's so many, Joe. I mean, the funny thing is with NCIS, I had such a great Monopoly moment once I had done every NCIS. I got in before they shut it down because it's done. It quit after 2 seasons, so got in.
Got in. Nice.
Well, this has been fun.
Oh my God, so much fun, and so many questions popped up while you guys were talking, but I'm not gonna leave you here all day. I could talk to you guys all day though. But everyone, if you want to come hang out with Larry and Tobias and some other of our friends from Hocus Pocus Sports, Omri Katz, Vanessa Shaw, and Jason Mars, if you want to meet all 5 of them, you got to come out to It's Just a Bunch of Halloween weekend, October 11th through the 13th in Salem, Massachusetts. Tickets are still on sale for a couple of the events, the party and the screening, and then the meet and greet. We are sold out, the trolley tour and the burlesque show. I know the screening is going to sell out probably within the next couple weeks. So definitely grab your tickets if you haven't already. Head to itsjustabunchofhalloween.com.
Also, sorry, just to let you know that we Tobias and I will both be putting a discount code out there for I think it's for what do we have tickets left for? The party.
Yeah.
So look for that. You'll get 20% off if you put in either one of our codes, which I think mine is it's just a bunch of ice. Go figure. I think yours is going to be it's just a bunch of Tobias, or just a bunch of Jay, or just a bunch of you, baby.
Well, for our listeners, you can use the code Buncha Horror Squad 2024, and you can get 20%.
Boom. There you go. Do that.
Well, yes. So definitely come and join us. Larry, Tobias, once again, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, and we'll see you guys in just a few short weeks.
Wow. Yes. Right. See you guys there.